The World of Osarian, Episode 1. The Voice of the World. At the far edges of the world, where the land still breathes, a boy walks in silence. He walks among trees untouched, waters unbroken, and life that has not yet learned to flee. He stops often, not to rest, but to listen. The world speaks to him there. It tells him that beauty still exists, as long as they do not interfere. The shield on his back answers softly, glowing with a light that does not belong to metal, but to something alive. Since childhood, Laz has carried this voice with him, not as a blessing, not as a command, but as a responsibility. And even in places where birds still sing, danger knows how to wait. The forest grows quiet, leaves stop falling, and steel moves where it should not. Someone has been sent. The hunter steps forward, amused by the green light that surrounds Laz. He wonders aloud whether the boy before him is a fighter or a defender. The world does not allow Laz to answer. It warns him that this man is dangerous, and that silence now is survival. The shield trembles. The ground answers, and Laz runs. Not because he is weak, but because not every battle is meant to be won. Behind him, the hunter does not chase. He watches, he smiles, and he accepts the game. He knows that news like this travels fast and far from the forest, beyond the living edges of the land. Power stirs. A king waits in stillness, seated where time lasts longer. Orders are given, the hunt begins, and the world continues to shrink. What Laz does not yet know is that this was never a meeting. It was a warning. Episode 2. What the World Remembers. Laz runs, not from a man, but from what the world is becoming. He hides where roots break stone, in places the city no longer remembers. There, the world asks him to breathe. It tells him the hunter is far, for now, and the forest listens. The world then speaks through memory. It tells Laz that once, before cities and crowns, the land was whole. It remembers carrying oceans, forests, and lives without number. It remembers a time with no center and no edges, but it also remembers fear. It tells Laz that when people feared the end, they gathered where time lasted longer. At the heart of the land, they built a city. They called it safety. They called it progress. The world remembers it as pain. The closer they moved to the center, the more they learned how to take, and the farther they pushed the land away, the faster it began to disappear. The world tells Laz that forests vanished, waters dried, and the edges were abandoned. It reminds him that it is not stone, not endless, but alive. Laz presses his hand to the ground and asks if the wound can be stopped. The world answers with the truth it does not soften. Some wounds do not heal. The silence that follows is heavier than any word. The world then tells Laz why he hears its voice. It tells him it is because he still cares, and because he listens. He is feared, far from the forest, where light no longer reaches. Power stirs. A king grows impatient. Orders are given. The hunt continues. The world is shrinking. The city remembers only power, and Laz carries the voice, of what remains. What the world remembers is waking up. Episode 3. What was left behind. Laz walks where laughter once lived. Houses stand open, doors broken, fires long gone cold. This place was not abandoned by time. It was emptied by fear. The world tells Laz that people once lived here together, that children ran between these walls, that nights were filled with voices, not silence. Then the city looked outward. It sent away what it did not want to see. Criminals, the unwanted, the forgotten, and this village was chosen. The world remembers what followed. Hunger, violence, and the sound of footsteps running away, never to return. Laz lowers his gaze, not in anger, but in understanding. He is not alone for long. Movement breaks the stillness. Two figures emerge from the ruins, not survivors, not protectors. They see the shield first, and then they see him. The world tightens its voice. These men do not speak of mercy, they speak of reward. Steel moves fast, faster than words. Laz raises his shield. He does not strike first. He does not chase. He stands, blows fall against the shield. Once, twice, again, and the shield answers. Green light erupts, not in rage, but in refusal. Laz is forced to fight, not to harm, but to endure. Each step is defense. Each movement is weight. Each answer is the world pushing back. When it ends, the ground is broken. But Laz is still standing. The men are alive, defeated, afraid. The truth spills icily then. The city is hunting him. Not to question, not to bargain, but to kill. The king knows his name, and the voice he carries. Silence returns to the village. Laz looks around one last time, at what was lost, and what he could not save. The world whispers that this is only the beginning, and Laz finally understands. Running was mercy, standing will be war. Episode 4. The Man Who Talks Too Much. Laz continues onward, away from ruins, away from echoes. The land around the city is restless. Traders move where armies once marched. Stories travel faster than truth. That is where Laz finds him. A man surrounded by metal, swords stacked like firewood, armor hanging where tents should be. The world does not whisper danger. Instead, it pauses. The man speaks first, and then keeps speaking. He talks of steel, of balance, of deals too good to refuse. He laughs loudly, even when no one laughs back. Laz listens, as he always does. The man's eyes wander, over blades, over buckles, and then they stop, on the shield. He asks where it came from, what forge shaped it, what hand blessed it. Laz answers simply. He tells the man it is only a shield, ordinary, nothing more. The world remains silent. The man does not argue. He smiles wider instead. He says ordinary things do not glow. Not like that, Laz shrugs. He has learned when not to explain. The man continues talking about armor Laz does not need. About swords Laz will not take. He jokes. He teases. He calls Laz difficult. Laz finally turns to leave. The man waves him off with a grin. A joke follows him into the road, and then silence. The man's smile fades. His hand drifts to a book beneath the counter. Old, dusty. He has seen that light before, not on a battlefield, not in a forge, but in ink. His eyes widen. The road is empty now. Laz is already gone. The man stands still, staring at the page, and at the memory it awakens. The world says nothing, but something has been recognized, and not all who recognize forget. Episode 5. A Place to Rest. Laz finds light before he finds walls. A small camp, few tents, fewer people. They are not soldiers, not traders. They are those who walked away. Here, fire still means warmth. Food is shared. Water is precious. Laz eats without being watched. Drinks without being questioned. For the first time in many days, he rests. The people speak softly, not because they are afraid of him, but because the world has taught them to whisper. They tell stories of homes left behind, not by choice, but by collapse. Laz listens, as he always does, and the night holds. For now. Episode 6. The Edges That Fall. When morning comes, the stories deepen. The people speak of the edges of the world, of land that once held firm, now breaking apart. They say the ground opens, slowly at first, then all at once. Homes slide into nothing, roads end mid-step. They did not flee war, they fled gravity, they moved inward, because inward lasts longer. But not all paths lead to the city. They speak of the center with bitterness, of gold without mercy, of excess built on suffering. They say the city feeds on what remains, and calls it order. They say the king rules from comfort, while the world breaks beneath him. And so these people remain between truths, too close to the end, too far from power, caught between collapse and corruption. Laz says nothing, but the shield grows heavier. Episode 7. What Must Not Be Said. That night, the camp sleeps. Laz does not. The world speaks when others cannot hear. It tells Laz that the stories are true, all of them. The edges are falling. The land is shrinking. The world is growing tired. But it also tells him this, that no one must know, not yet. Panic would take more lives than truth ever could. The world asks Laz to carry silence, as carefully as hope. It tells him that people believe he is trying to save the world. And for now, that belief must live. Laz presses his hand to the ground. He does not ask why. He does not ask how long. He listens. Morning will come, and with it, more footsteps. The world is shrinking, but not everyone has fallen yet, and neither has Laz. Episode 8. When the ground breaks. Laz leaves before the camp wakes. Goodbyes are easier when no one is watching. He walks away quietly, back to the road, back to what waits. Then the world breaks. A sound tears through the distance. Not thunder, not stone. Something deeper. The ground trembles far behind him, and the world screams. Not in words, in pain. Laz stops. His breath shortens. His hand tightens around the shield. He knows this sound. The edges have fallen again. The world tells him it hurts. That part of it is gone. Laz feels panic rise, not for himself, but for time. He remembers what the world asked of him, to keep walking, to not stop. The world softens its voice. It tells him not to turn back, that worrying will not heal what is lost. It asks him to move forward, while there is still ground to stand on. Laz breathes. He takes one step, then another. Behind him, the world is smaller than it was. Ahead of him, water moves. He reaches a river, wide, flowing. It does not crack. It does not fall. It continues. Laz stands at its edge, listening to the sound of something that still knows how to move forward. The world is shrinking, but the river flows, and Laz follows.